All right, let's check this guy out. Welcome back to the Complex Entertainment Group, where we discuss music, tech, business. It's been a minute. So welcome back to the Complex Entertainment Group, discussing music, tech, business, and life. Yes. So the Akai MPK Mini Mach 3. This is going to be my replacement for the Akai Professional LDP8 Wireless. I did a video on this one a couple months back. How to continue to, update the pads since the editor software is no longer available on the current version of macOS. It was still doing pretty good, but I'm going to do a comparison to talk about why I switched. What are some of my thoughts as he going into next year? And just, I'm always a thinker. I'm always planning on how I want to get things done. And I have very tight specs and requirements for like any kind of hardware that I use. If it doesn't meet those requirements, I end up either swapping it out or I take a lot of time before I get something. But let's get into this. So going in the new year, I want to be able to be more mobile. I'm really just kind of confined. So I decided that I want a more compact MIDI controller. So one thing here I like, this also includes a joystick, which obviously this didn't have. And again, if I was going to be mobile and take this along with me, I'm just having pads. Where this has all the pads, and I also have a key bed. Now, size-wise, these things are basically footprint-wise very close to being the same size on my desk. That was another thing. I didn't want to have an extended keyboard that was taking up more real estate. Now, this is obviously, as you can see, a bit not wider, but I guess deeper in comparison to the LDP8 Wireless. One of the big things that I also prefer, as you can see here, is an on-off switch. Both the Mini Play and the wireless LDP8 have the power switch that you can use if you're also using batteries on this. So all I do on both of these, I just didn't use batteries in it, so therefore when I switch it to battery mode, I can easily just turn it off. I hate having to unplug things, so this just makes it like how I had here. I just flick the switch back here in the back. I'll do it just for purposes here to see. I can easily just flick this on and off with the flick of a switch. Now here you see I'm coming from 8 knobs to 4 knobs, but actually not, because here the knobs on the MPK Mini Play has an A and B switch, so I'm back to really just hitting A and B and changing the knobs, which gives me back essentially having 8 knobs here. I'm just toggling between A and B from the 4 knobs that I have. Excuse me. As you can clearly see, there's already 8 pads on both. Now on the LDP8 Wireless, I could easily just hit select and change it to program 1, 2, 3, or 4, which, while also using the bank A and B, which is, there's also a bank A and B on the pads here, essentially gave me not only just 16, but 16 times 4 pads that I can use on this. Now here, at first I was just thinking, oh crap, I only have, again, 16 pads that I can use just from the A and B switch. But as this is in the, I won't say MIDI mode, but as long as you're not using the internal sounds, or actually you can probably do in the internal sounds as well, you can use the favorites button, which gives you up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 favorite banks. So essentially, where I had 4 programs patches that I can use here, I have 8. So now I continue to map out all of my different CCs for all the notes that I'm playing across this. And I actually have twice as many here as I had here. So let me better demonstrate this, and I'll pull up battery to do it. All right, so check it out. So I have battery up. And again, I already have this plugged in. This was easily mapped to Reaper. Like I just plugged it in, clicked whatever buttons that I needed here for MIDI devices. As you can see, it was already up. And I select input, input all. Make sure in Reaper you have both the clock enabled and that this is also sending MIDI back out if you're doing this in Reaper. And I changed the CC to make sure that I have it set for C2. And then just went up. And again, that's the first 8. Hit to pad or bank B. Continue to goes up. But for my battery users out here that want to use this, you can also, again, use the favorites button here. If I switch back so you can see the favorites button here. And then you hit favorite and change it to whichever one you want. So I was on favorite 1 first. If I go back to favorite, if I go to favorite 2 now, switching back to battery. As you can see now, we started off from here. If I go to pad bank 2 and end it, that ends on B4. If I switch, now this should start at B5, which it does. Next bank. And just continue on up. And I've continued to incrementally go up in the notes across, I think, all the way up to favorite 5. So and again, this is pretty cool, really, because again, even with the note repeat on the MPK Mini Play is way easier for me to change than on the LDP8. Again, both of them have a note repeat button, and you can configure the note repeat by clicking the note repeat config on the LDP8. But here, I'm just doing it straight from the keys. So, for example, go to a different sound. Note repeat on. And I like it because again, now I can just easily hold note repeat and then hit the key that I want here because all the time divisions are set. And all of the sync, swing, and everything else are directly on the keypad here. You can see these markings from the camera here, but this is 4th, 4th triplet, 8th, 8th triplet, 16, 16th triplet, so forth. And the sync here is at the end. So if I easily hit the sync, it's automatically going to sync to changing the note repeat BPM to external, meaning that it's receiving it from the DAW. I can easily turn it back off and have the tempo set internally on the device. Now to do that on the LDP8, I had to go back into Parallels, like I showed on the previous video. I'll leave the link somewhere in the description, or you'll see the card appear. But I had to go back into that program and do all the changes again, and it was a huge hassle. So again, it served well once I had everything set, but some of those changes were annoying if I had to go back in there. I really wish that, Akai would keep the software up to date for their devices. And I'm still a bit concerned, that could be the case a few years from now, even with this device. I do appreciate that I have more of a control to change some more of the parameters easily here without having to go through the editor software as opposed to this one. Now, also, if I didn't have the editor software available, I still have note repeat from using the arpeggiator. So if you want to use note repeat on keys, you can still do that. Go back in the battery. You can do it using the arpeggiator. And again, it's still internally or externally synced to the tempo of the DAW. And similarly to the note repeat, I can easily change the time division of this note while just still holding it down, holding down the arpeggiator. So just a few quick points. I do wish that out of the assignable MIDI parameters here, that they would have included the volume knob, so that I can easily just map this to CC7. And I wish that this control knob here was also MIDI programmable, so that I could have tried to have mapped it to changing the actual patches within different programs. But unfortunately I didn't. Maybe they can do something like that with a firmware update to this, I'm not sure. And allow that this screen to give you the ability to change the CCs of the pads. That way I can be completely off of the MIDI editor. And if they were to ever, discontinue or, not make updates for the latest DAW or the latest operating system, excuse me, I always have the ability to update and reassign the pads and any CC parameters using the screen. To me, that makes the most sense. Akai, go ahead and make that happen with some type of update. Hopefully you can do it. If you are able to do that and I just don't know how yet, leave a comment in the comment section advising me that, hey, you do have that feature. I just didn't see it. But that's really it. This is just kind of going over how to set up the MPK Mini Play mk3 for use in battery and any other instrument like it if you want to use the pads across more than just 16 notes. So if you found this video helpful, appreciate it if you would subscribe, leave a like, a comment. Appreciate you guys. Talk to you next time. Peace.
Yes. Complex.